Welcome, everyone. I am Gary Beekler. I come to you from Nerdrotic. I am live in San Francisco, and we are going to talk about some good Disney Star Wars before the reckoning of the fall of Skywalker. Yes, we are here to discuss the seventh episode of The Mandalorian, and I find it quite coincidental that it's called The Reckoning on this day, because I do believe there is a reckoning going on with Disney Star Wars among members of the fandom menace. There's a lot of vindication happening, and it's currently pissing off the access media, and I am enjoying the hell out of it. But I'm torn a little bit because I have to be honest with you guys. That's the most important part. I will be going into the fall of Skywalker with as open of a mind as possible, but there's a lot of baggage, so I'm going to be real. It would take a lot for me to like that film. But it doesn't take a lot for me to like The Mandalorian, which I have said up until this episode has been a very good live action cartoon. Even the subpar episodes are mediocre at worst. They're not filled with identity politics, and I guess we can take that little victory. Of course, Baby Yoda is cute, but cute only lasts so long. It has to become part of the story, and the story has come together in the penultimate episode. Before I get started, I want to tell you that there will be spoilers for the episode if you've just come across my channel and you haven't subscribed. And by the way, if you want to consider subscribing, you can do so. There's a little button. You can hit subscribe, hit the bell, and if you can like and share the videos as well, that helps independent creators like yours truly remain competitive against the giant corporations that YouTube has decided to prioritize on this platform, especially with the real-world events that have been going on that have been flooding my recommendeds, which I don't know. I don't go to politics. I don't talk about politics. You can go up and down my Twitter. I don't bring them up. I don't want to offend anybody on either side of the aisle. I just wish Hollywood felt that way and YouTube felt that way. But The Mandalorian remains probably the best. It is the best thing Disney Star Wars has produced. Aside from the last few minutes of Rogue One, which was an okay movie. I don't like the new Disney trilogy. Just in case you're new, I'm resetting here. I don't like Jar Jar Abrams' work. I don't like Rian Johnson's work, and I doubt I will. But Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and Deborah Chow, who did a spectacular job in this episode, should be running Star Wars, and I have a feeling that they might be. They might put Michelle Rejwan, I do believe her name, is in charge once Kathleen Kennedy leaves, but I think creatively they would be stupid not to bring in Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and Deborah Chow, who absolutely deserves to direct the next Star Wars movie. So I agree with my good friend Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers when he tweeted today, "Rianne, be the change you want to be. And step aside and give that trilogy to Deborah Chow because it would at least be digestible." And I'm guessing it might be kind of good. And that is what we all want, isn't it? Now, Star Wars is lost to me. I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I can tell you if something's good or not, and I enjoy it. Will I go as far as recommending it? I don't know. That depends on you. I would not be subscribing to Disney Plus if I didn't review television for my channel. And it's not a bad job. So I get to write it off, and I think I've done enough damage to Disney to warrant, to make up for the $7 or $8 a month I'm giving them. And I don't watch anything else, excuse me, except for The Mandalorian. Now, an anonymous person contacted me via private message. They work for Disney Plus, the platform, and they asked me how the platform performs for me on the phone or on the desktop. I haven't had any serious problems. I had some hiccups on my phone, and I've had a couple of hiccups on my desktop, but the picture mostly looks good. The Mandalorian was shot a little dark. As you can see with my thumbnail, I had to pump up the brightness on that one, just so you could see cute little Baby Yoda using the Force, which they almost mentioned this episode. So this is the best episode of the season so far. They brought the crew back together, and not that this matters, because it doesn't, but it really does feel like this was a repurposed film. And what they did was add those filler episodes prior, and what we are entering in is the third act, and this is what it feels like. So we got the crew together, and that's a good thing. And we're going to go over the episode just a little bit here, and then I want to get to you. I'm a little bit limited on time. If you're watching this on the 19th, I'm going to be at a meetup prior to the Fall of Skywalker at the Starbucks in West Portal here in San Francisco. Join me, 3:30 p.m. All right, so we start out with Greef Karga contacting the Mandalorian saying, hey, I'm alive, you're alive, everything's cool. I got a deal for you. Since you screwed up everything here on planet Dave Nevarro, the imps have dug themselves in and made it very hard for the guild to work. So he offers to clear the Mandalorian's name, let him keep the baby if he comes in and kills the imp. Now, of course, this is a trap. The Mandalorian, I hope, knows this, but since we don't get facial expressions, we don't know. But the Mandalorian decides to take the deal, but he needs a crew. So he goes to planet Sargon of Akkad to retrieve Cara Dune, who is there being a strong woman and beating the crap out of a horny guy who's a foot taller than her. But again, Gina Carano's awesome. Nothing bad to say about her. I think she does a good job. Decent job acting as Cara Dune. So there's a little strong woman fight scene. She wins, collects her winnings. Mandalorian comes in, says, got a job for you. She says no, but then he mentions an Imperial who they call an imp. She says she's in. As they're taking off, she asks all the right questions, like, why are we doing this? This is a trap. Do they need to vet me? And the Mandalorian tells her that she is, he has not told Greef that she is coming along. So they go down to look at the weapons. They leave Baby Yoda alone in the cockpit. Mandalorian says he'll be fine, showing that he is still the worst father figure in the Star Wars galaxy. And of course, the little Baby Yoda starts playing with all the switches, and the ship, all these alarms go off. They realize they need a babysitter, so they're going to go to the planet where Quill is. So we go and see Quill, and voiced by the great Nick Nolte, who was in one of my favorite films of all time, 48 Hours. If any of you younglings haven't seen it out there, do yourself a favor and watch this movie. It is one of the best ever made, directed by Walter Hill, and it has the great Eddie Murphy in it as well. And it's filmed here in San Francisco before it turned into Poop City. So Quill has been busy, and some time has passed, and the way they show that is you see IG-11. Quill went and salvaged him, put him back together. His neural net was almost entirely destroyed, so Quill had to train him basically from birth. And we get a little exposition on how droids work in the Star Wars universe, and I thought this was very interesting. You have to train them, again, like babies. They develop their personality based on the person who is training them and affirmation, so that's what makes them evil. As Quill says, droids are neither good nor bad. They are a reflection of whoever programmed them. So the Mandalorian wants to have Quill, babysit Baby Yoda. Quill says, I'm not really set up for that. We have some pretty decent exposition between Cara Dune and Quill, where we get a little more of his background, that he worked himself out of servitude as a slave to the Empire. He had to pay off his debts to the Empire, and the Ugnaughts live a long time. 3 lifetimes of a human. He had to do that. And that was pretty cool. I like the little argument between them. And so IG-11 is now programmed for service and protection. So he's basically a cop, I guess. The Mandalorian is still suspicious. Quill insists that he has to bring 3 blurgs along and IG-11, but IG-11 is not allowed to leave the ship, and this is important to later in the plot. And again, this is the first episode that felt like a TV show, not a cartoon. This felt like a legit, properly directed, great writing, well acted for the most part. There's still a little bit of kind of cartoonish overacting from Carl Weathers, and I'm sure that will improve over time. This is not really that abnormal for a first season of television, as all the actors have to get to know their characters, and usually it's seasons 2 or 3 where they start really getting to know the characters they're playing. And I've just experienced this through watching years and years of television. First seasons are always a bit rough. Go look at some of the greatest television shows ever made, aside from maybe The Twilight Zone and, of course, The Prisoner, which is a perfect one-season television series. It doesn't happen that often. There's rough starts. So they get Quill, and while they're on the ship, Quill argues with Cara Dune a little bit, who still has some resentments towards the Empire. She's on the run, by the way. So since she became, she's a veteran, but she's done some stuff in her past, so she's got a life sentence if she gets caught in any way, shape, or form. So she's got to lay low. While they're on the ship, Cara Dune and the Mandalorian are arm wrestling, and this was a good scene. The Yoda sees them arm wrestling and decides to force choke Cara Dune. And we almost get talk of the Force. We get this close to explaining it. So after they see what happens, Quill goes, now your experience with the big woolly rhino thing makes a little more sense. I've seen this before. And before he can explain any more about the Force, he starts arguing with Cara Dune. And then the Mandalorian plays peacemaker and asks him to make a better stroller, basically. So they land on the planet, Dave Nevarro, who's the guitarist of Jane's Addiction, by the way. And they meet Carl Weathers, and he's got some guys with him, some guild members with him, and he notices that the Mandalorian has Cara Dune and Quill, and he is a little surprised by this. It's obviously a trap, so they had to meet out in the desert, and there's also lava fields out here, so they have to make their way back in the town. They have to camp overnight. And when they're doing that, they're discussing the plan. And of course, the imp is just called the client. And it's Werner Herzog, who is the best thing in this show, by the way. And they discuss the plan, and Carl Weathers goes, what could go wrong? And they're cooking some roast beast, and some little bat dragon things come out of the sky, get him, take a couple of the blurgs, one of the guild members who was with Carl Weathers, and badly wounds Carl Weathers' character. And then we get some exposition, and this is where we see the connection to the fall of Skywalker that my good friend and protege, I'll call him a protege, RK Outpost, pointed out correctly, that the Force healing that we see in The Mandalorian was just put in to explain the Force healing that Rey might have in the fall of Skywalker. Now, if you've heard the leaks, which are absolutely everywhere, there's a possibility that happens. I guess we'll see tonight when I actually see the film. But I think that's part of the reason. The Lucasfilm Story Group was involved with this show. Probably not heavily involved, considering it's good. And 99.9% identity politics free, almost 100%. I mean, you can't expect Hollywood to not slip in a little bit here and there and try to be subtle about it. They're going to do it. We got to take our little victories, okay? Our little victories. So Baby Yoda heals Carl Weathers. And the next day, they're making their way back. The Mandalorian senses that the other two guild members might be, having second thoughts. And at that moment, Carl Weathers kills both of the guild members who are with him, and he says, this was a trap. I was supposed to kill you and take the baby back, but since the baby healed me, I had a change of heart. So now we got to change the plan. I got to take you in, we got to take the baby in, and you got to kill the imp, and then everybody else will run if the paycheck stops. And that's what they keep saying over and over again. But remember, the ex-Imperials are pretty dug in this town. The Mandalorian has a different idea. He sends Quill back to the ship with Baby Yoda. They bring the little carriage, but they close it. And they're going to get to the imp, and then the Mandalorian's going to kill him. And they're going to make it look like Cara Dune captured him. So they head back in the town while Quill makes his way back to the ship. And this is where all hell breaks loose. So First, they meet Werner Herzog, and you can kind of tell they shot all of Werner Herzog's scenes in like the same couple of days, which is fine because anytime that guy is on screen with his evil German accent is great. And there's a little scene where they explain imperial expansion, which sounds a lot like the arguments. It's the colonialism arguments that are out there, but it makes sense within this story. So the client sees the Mandalorian. He says, "What exquisite craftsmanship! It's such a shame what happened to your people. It was avoidable." And then he goes into the Empire is gone, and everywhere they went, it's life has been better. And if you think about it, how many people actually knew about the Emperor, knew that he was some evil Sith Lord? They probably kept that kind of secret. And probably to a lot of people, peace and prosperity seemed fine. I mean, aside from the slavery that the Empire was doing. So it probably felt fine to some people. And we're probably going to get a lot of this as we go on with The Mandalorian. But here lies the problem. Here's the problem I have. As good as The Mandalorian is, and this episode is good, I still think it's a pretty good live action cartoon. This episode was an exception. It was much better. But you are treading on canon. It's incidental, but you're still treading on canon. You are making Luke, Han, and Leia's victory over the Empire not so great anymore. We're seeing the outskirts of the galaxy. It's really just it's chaos right now, and warlords are taking over. And of course, the New Republic can't police everything, but it takes away from the end of Return of the Jedi for me a little bit. And the same thing goes for that scene with the Tusken Raiders a couple of episodes ago. It kind of made the Owen, Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru look kind of bad because they're always treating the Tusken Raiders as savages when, it was a little more complex than that. And I don't know how complex you want to make Star Wars going forward, because it does, again, tread on the past. It does take away from Luke Skywalker's victory. I mean, not as bad as The Last Jedi did. I mean, I guess you can argue the damage is done, and I have no argument against that, other than you're right. All right, so as the client asks to see the baby, they go, "Well, you don't want to disturb it. It's sleeping." He's like, "I'll be quiet." And then he gets a phone call. He's like, "I don't mean to be rude, but I have to take this call." And we see Moff Gideon, Gus from Breaking Bad. I always forget the actor's real name, and it is Giancarlo Esposito, who is a great actor. He was great as Gus Fring in Better Call Saul, which I like a lot, and Breaking Bad. So great actor, and he calls in and says, "Well, so have you found the baby?" He's all, "Yeah, we got it right here." He's all, "You might want to check again." And he doesn't even give him a chance to check, and then he shoots up the bar, and the client gets killed. Werner Herzog gets killed. But it's actually good. We finally have some stakes. That's what I've been waiting for. And tension, stakes, it was all good in this episode. So they're pinned down now. So the Mandalorian, Cara Dune, and Greef Karga survive the shootout, but then all of a sudden all these death troopers show up. I think they're death troopers, right? And stormtroopers, the black stormtroopers from Rogue One. And the EU or whatever. I don't know. I'm no EU expert. Read some comics, Dark Horse stuff back in the 90s, but none of the books or anything. They come in, they pin them down. They have no way to escape. So the Mandalorian calls Quill, who was riding back to the ship, and tells him to hurry up. Well, of course, they were monitoring their comms. And the two stormtroopers who are on the speeder bikes outside of the town hear this and take off. And then the Mandalorian's in a panic. He's like, "Get your ass back to the ship." And if he makes it into the ship, there's some security protocol where the stormtroopers couldn't get in. And remember, IG-11 is nowhere. They made him stay back in the ship. So we get a sad ending. We get some exposition against Moff Gideon comes out, gives a little speech, says, "You have no idea what you have there. It means more to me than you will ever know." Then we cut back, and Quill has died, and one of the troopers on a speeder bike scoops up Baby Yoda, who was still alive. He didn't make it to the ship. Don't know where IG-11 is. I imagine he'll pop up in the next episode. But Quill was down. His body was sizzling. The Blurg was killed, and he looked pretty dead to me. And that's where the episode ended. A very good episode. The music didn't even bother me in this episode. I still don't think it's great for Star Wars. I still think you need to have orchestral. It doesn't have to be exactly like John Williams. People totally misconstrue my argument. I don't want drums, guitar, synthesizers. I want just an orchestra. There's people who can emulate. There's a great composer out there named Murray Gold who did Doctor Who. He would be perfect for this show. Perfect. But again, like 9 out of 10. I'm a bit of a snob, so I don't give anything a 10 out of 10. Like Raiders of the Lost Ark is a 10 out of 10. All right. Blade Runner, 10 out of 10. There's very few. But 9 out of 10 episode, very good. I'm looking forward to the next episode. Is it good enough for me to recommend Disney Star Wars to people? Hell no. I'm not gonna do that anytime soon. But maybe there will be a day. You never know. There's a point where the page has to be turned and you have to move on. We're not at that point yet, but I think the Fandom Menace has done some fine work, and the Access Media spurging out, especially in their reviews of The Fall of Skywalker, has been nothing but pleasure and enjoyment to partake in. Okay, so we will get to the chat a little bit here. Again, I'm a little limited on time here. Okay, so welcome everybody. Thank you for joining me. And again, I will be live tonight at between 9:30 or 10 p.m. whenever I get home from the movie. I'm going to a 6 o'clock show Pacific time, and then I'm going to do a live review, and then I'm going to stay up all night and cut a video. And again, there's a meetup at 3:30 p.m. at the Starbucks in West Portal if you're watching this on December 19th. Adam Child for $4.99. First super chat. Oh yeah, the Mando's world could be more chaotic after the fall of the Empire. Would be cool to see more factions trying to get power. And I imagine we're going to get that. I did hear from Mrs. Nerdrotic yesterday. She sent me a message that the Mandalorian had been given a third season. Not surprised at all. Sporking News, and thank you, Adam Child, and I'll see you later. Sporking News podcast for $2. Hey, $2. Hail Gary and the fourth wave. We are winning now. Die, by the way. Okay. We are winning now. Die. BY. What's BY? Finish your thought in the chat. Maybe I missed something there. I'm mixed. But Sporking News podcast is part of the Fourth Wave podcast, which I love a lot, and I watch it. And I will join you guys soon. 200 Watt Studio for $2. Did you get my email? I did. I am woefully behind on emails. I will get back to you after the show. Thank you, 200 Watt Studio, for the $2. Dr. Zayden for 10 pounds. The Sith are right. Hashtag Fall of Skywalker is losing money. That'll be interesting to see. There's still a lot of tickets available for some shows. The earliest shows are sold out, but the shows right after that are not. John Matrix for $10. Baby Yoda is great, but it's starting to fall into the Mary Sue category if we don't get an explanation as to why he can do what he does. Don't make the Force a joke in the sequels. No, don't. But they already have. They made the Force a gimmick. And I talked about that in my last video, and that's unfortunate. Baby Yoda, yes, they did explain a little bit in this episode. They did explain that Baby Yoda is not a clone, or at least the Ugnaught doesn't think he is. So they did, I don't know if that's an explanation, but it's a possibility. Seawalker94 for $5. What are your expectations for the Obi-Wan show since The Mandalorian, especially since Deborah Chow is involved? They're up. They're up. There is a good story to be told with the Obi-Wan show that I would be interested in. I've always said I would be, and since she's in charge, I imagine it'll probably be good. She's good. She's very, very good at what she does. and she understands Star Wars. She understands directing Star Wars. So I think Disney would be stupid not to give her the films. I mean, they just have to at this point. So hail Deborah Chow. And again, that might be part of the page turning. Cracklin, $4.99. Disney Star Wars has ruined my childhood love of Star Wars and destroyed my dreams of being another good Star Wars movie. How dare they? How dare they? I know. Disney Star Cracklin. Disney Star Wars has done a lot of damage to the fandom. And it doesn't become okay in a season of television after a good episode. There's a lot of work to be done, and they will never get some people back, including yours truly. I'm not going to go out and buy Mandalorian action figures. I mean, if you want to, that's fine. I'm not judging you, but I'm not going to. I'm not buying anything Disney. That's including Marvel Comics stuff, which is tough. Not for a while. Captain Spire, $2. Merry Christmas, Gary. How's the coffee? Oh, Captain Spire is so good. Thank you so much for the coffee. I had some this morning. Justin Gould for $5. May the force be with you during the fall of Skywalker. I saw it this morning thanks to certain websites, and it's every bit as terrible as we imagined. Sad. Oh, har, har. Sailing the high seas. Well, I got a free ticket tonight, by the way. I got a free ticket, so I'm not paying to go see it, but I will be seeing it in a theater, and I want, hey, I don't judge how people see things. Zerdavko for 250 RSDs. Gary, hail from Serbia. Heard a rumor that you used to own a comic shop. That's a terrible lie. It's a terrible lie. Have you stumbled upon a superhero comic, Cat Claw, by Bane Carrick from the 1980s? Cat Claw. I have not. I have to see the cover. I will get back to you on a live stream on that one. That's a good question. But I can't say I have. Catherine Greer for $7. Good afternoon. Seems like it's been hours. Thanks for all the hard work. Wish I could be there for the meetup in Modesto as we speak. Oh, you're so close, but yet so far. Well, you'll be there in spirit, Catherine Greer, and I will be live streaming from the event on Nerdrotic Live, my alternate channel. So thank you. And thank you, Catherine. Kyle Ellis for $2.99. Mandalorian is how you do Star Wars. Take note, SJWs. Kyle, yes. I can't even, that's well said. That should be in our mission statement if we have one. Oberon for 20 Danish krona. Keep an eye out for John Williams cameo and Wedge. Oh, cool. Okay, well, at least we got that. But I am not a fan of Jar Jar. As a matter of fact, I think he's worse than Rian Johnson in so many ways, because Rian Johnson did not destroy another franchise, and Jar Jar Abrams is on his way to destroy DC, which breaks my heart. Max Santiago for $2. Thanks for watching the movie so we don't have to. You are welcome, and thank you for supporting me on this channel. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you for joining me on this live stream. Thank you to my Modrotics. The one good thing that has come out of this is I have made a lot of new friends, and just talking to you guys and interacting with you guys in the live streams has been the best thing that's happened to me in a long, long time. So I appreciate you all. We found each other. The Fandom Menace is a force for good, no matter what anybody says. I am going to end this live stream, and I'll just say that was the best episode of the season. Well done, Jon Favreau. Well done, Dave Filoni. And double thumbs up to Deborah Chow. You are a very talented person, and hopefully you deserve all you get. So I will see you guys later tonight for the Fall of Skywalker. I wanted to provide some balance today, so we got the good news first. The bad news is coming. We got one more super chat here at the end, which is Cracklin for $1.99. Prediction: Rainbow Stormtroopers. It's happening. It's a daddy happening. It's a daddy waffle happening. All right, everybody, remember, hashtag Solo Lost Money, and I'll see you later tonight. Cheers.